Namaste, friends. I'm Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar. I welcome you on behalf of United Consciousness, Project Self Incorporation USA and Bharat. Few days back, a 6-year-old child, after watching news, told me that we are taught light in the school, but why there is darkness in the world? We are taught peace in the school, but why there is war in the world? We are taught harmony in the school, but why there is struggle in the world? We are taught smile in the school, but why there is tears in the world? I really have no answer to that innocent question of a small child. It made me think that the evolution of economic man, which led to industrialization, and then the evolution of a social man led to reformation in the societies. Culmination of rational man led to renaissance in the world. Evolution of a global man which led to globalization. By the virtue of all these, today we are living in an industrialized, globalized world, which is seeing extreme exploitation of resources and intense competitions at all the fronts. That's why you see that the United Nations total budget for disarmament is $0.69 billion. Whereas the total defense budget of the world is $1,747 billion, which is 2,500 times more than the total disarmament budget of United Nations. 28 million soldiers are ready to attack each other on a single political decision. So certainly United Nations alone cannot make a peaceful, harmonized world. Everyone, every step counts. The time has come for the evolution of spiritual man. Theory of evolution talks about the theory of common descent. We all come from the same source. Theory of Big Bang also mentioned about our origin from the same point. Quantum physics talks about singularity. The time has come that the spiritual man declares that we are united in consciousness. We should have united anthems, united citizenship, united education. To create a united conscious world. United Consciousness is a global organization which operates in all 6 continents of the world with the mission of one consciousness, one being. So that we can see beyond limited divides of identities. 14 limited identities, orthodoxy of religion, intolerant thoughts, wealth, class, division on the basis of region, fanatic nationalism, status, species. When habitat considered themselves the master of the habitation, racism, casteism, divides on the basis of color, gender and sex orientation. To establish divine beyond these divisive identities, United Consciousness is working for creation of the world's first integrated manual of humanity. Another project is creation of the manual of human happiness. United Consciousness is also working for UC Youth. UC Global Youth will work for identifying and incubating global talents from all 6 continents, youth talent, who will act as a world parliament of youth for creating a consciousness, united consciousness world. In the same stream, we celebrate every year United Consciousness Conclave. UCC 2022 has a theme, One Consciousness, One Being, which is in line with the theme of G20. One Earth, One Family, One Future. We aim to create a world which has Maitri, which focuses on oneness. Karuna, when I feel your pain, you feel my pain. Mudita, when I am delighted in your joy, you smile in my joy. Upeksha, when we ignore differences and see divinity in each other. United Consciousness Conclave invites all of you on this 17th and 18th of December to sit back, relax and enjoy this global assembly of life coaches, spiritual masters, practitioners, yoga sadhakas, dance and art performers who come together from different parts of the globe, all 6 continents, to speak the common language of oneness. I also would like to thank Project Self Incorporation USA and Bharat, European Yoga Federation, Yoga Vidya Germany, Siddhashram Turkey, Yoga Lam Russia, Yogismo International South America, Spiritual Council in Africa, AYT Australia, for have contributed in making this event a success. Let's together declare united consciousness so that we can answer the next generation, and with an affirmation that yes, in our world there is light, peace, harmony and smiles. Thank you very much.
I'm feeling happy and excited to welcome our next performer, Mr. Dariush Zerbafian. He's PhD in musicology from University of Toulouse-Limeral, France. He is member of the scientific research team of University of Toulouse, member of the French Society of Ethnomusicology of France. He is professor of the Faculty of Arts Music Department, Université de Moncton. 2 of his original compositions are Iranian Model Music, Iranian Percussions. His major publications include the Music Learned Iranian, Contribution to the Analysis of Mondic Systems and Metrics, published by Diffusion, ANRT, Reproduction of Thesis, University Lille. He has performed in various international concerts and shows in Canada, France, Switzerland, Spain, Belgium, Germany, Holland, Iran. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and please welcome Mr. Dariush Zerbafian. On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Mr. Dariush Zerbafin for his accelerating performance. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to welcome and introduce our next dance performance from Nantia Dance Company, a dance company based in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. The company produces new work and activities through dance exchanges, trainings, projects, and performances. The company was founded and established in 2015 by Alawai Sadai Alawai, Saloom Kabasa, and Samvel Jeffet, and has later been joined by two other dancers, Shah Muanad Dumi and Musa Soleimani. All of them are graduates of early years in Muda Africa Dance School. The company collaborates with artists around the world and registered as a non-profit company. In its short existence, the dance company has produced 5 dance productions, and some have been successfully toured to different dance festivals in Madagascar, Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, where the company have performed and taken part in artist exchange. The mission of Nantia Dance Company is promoting and developing both traditional and contemporary dance in Tanzania. Also, it spreads the knowledge of contemporary dance to different dancers across the country who are new to this dance form, and to inspire and motivate the young upcoming dance artists, both male and female, into the dance industry, as well as inspiring the youths in the society to be the ambassadors of the development of social exchange. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Nantia Dance Company from Tanzania. On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Nantia Dance Company from Tanzania for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness and giving such a ravishing performance. Thank you so much.
Connect, bringing together European yoga teachers and establishing delegates and representatives for each country, considering the social differences in various countries and support the needs, equality regardless of gender, origin, sexual orientation, social class and religion, overcoming dogmatism, fundamentalism to promote universal understanding.
Bye.
Promote, encouraging a yogic lifestyle and a holistic approach to life as a tool for physical and mental wellness, a more spiritually elevated, peaceful, happy and physically fit society.
Integrate and unify, integrating science and the art of yogic living, modern knowledges with ancient wisdoms for betterment of the world and global development. Recognizing, accepting and integrating the many different paths that lead to the same final goal, making sure that yoga will maintain its original purpose. Namaste.
Provide study of secular knowledge, philosophy and ancient text, Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Sutra and Veda. Study of techniques, modern developments in teaching techniques, incorporating scientific findings in medicine, psychology, etc. to guarantee a certain standard, an established graduation system to provide a minimum standard for yoga teachers training.
देखो इन्हें ये है ओस की बूंदें, पत्तों की गोद में आसमां से कूदे, अंगड़ाई ले फिर करवट बदल कर, नाजुक से मोती हंस दे फिसल कर, खो न जाए तारे ज़मीं पर। ये तो है सर्दी में धूप की किरणें, उतरे जो आंगन को सुनहरा सा करने, मन के अंधेरों को रोशन सा कर दे, ठिठुरती हथेली की रंगत बदल दे, खो न जाए ये तारे ज़मीं पर। जैसे आँखों की डिबिया में निंदिया, और निंदिया में मीठा सा सपना, और सपने में मिल जाए फरिश्ता सा कोई, जैसे रंगों भरी पिचकारी, जैसे तितलियां फूलों की क्यारी, जैसे बिना मतलब का प्यारा रिश्ता हो कोई। ये तो आशा की लहर है, ये तो उम्मीद की सहर है, खुशियों की लहर है, खो न जाए ये तारे ज़मीं पर।
Dhaka Kids Academy strives to shape the future of unprivileged and underprivileged kids having urge of learning. Kindly lend your hand too in this yajna. It's my honor to invite our guest Shri Dinesh K. Patnaik. He is a career diplomat of the Indian Foreign Services with experience of over 25 years in a variety of interesting and challenging assignments. He has served an Indian mission in Geneva, Dhaka, Beijing and Vienna. At headquarters, he has served in the European West External Publicity, Africa and UN Division. Shri Patnaik served as a Deputy Chief of Mission at the Indian Embassy in Vienna from 2009 to 2012. He was India's ambassador to Cambodia from 12 to 15. He was India's ambassador to the Kingdom of Morocco from 2015 to 16. He was Deputy High Commissioner of India to London from 16 to 18. He was Additional Secretary, Indian Ocean Region from November 18 to July 19. And thereafter Additional Secretary, CVP and OIA from July 2019 to January 20 in the Ministry of External Affairs. Shri Dinesh K. Patnaik assumed charge as Ambassador of India to Spain and Andorra on 16 January 2022. Mr. Patnaik holds a master's degree in business administration from the Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata. He holds a master's degree in advanced international studies from the University of Vienna and certificate in international studies from the Diplomatic Academy, Vienna. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Shri Dinesh K. Patnaik.
Namaste, friends. I'm Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar. There is an important message on behalf of Honorable Shri Dinesh K. Patnaik. Somehow he fell sick yesterday night, and that's why he could not appear on the platform of United Consciousness. But with apologies, he has sent his loving message for our audience and to the global fraternity. I'm reading his message, Honorable Shri Dinesh K. Patnaik. The world has no signs of consciousness. Yoga and ancient arts in India were the only tools to look at the link between physicians and consciousness. In today's world, the importance of consciousness has emerged, and if we have to solve global problems, we need a science of consciousness. India has always seen the world as a family and a single connected consciousness. Physical self and consciousness are connected. Let's pledge to work for creating a connected world which is connected in consciousness. Unquote. We thank Honorable Shri Dinesh K. Patnaik ji for always blessing us with his message of oneness and which his vision of creating a world which is connected at the level of consciousness in the theme of G20, One Earth, One Family, and One Future. Thank you very much.
I am feeling immensely happy in introducing the incredible learned personality André Riel from France. He is a master of Nidra Yoga and Kashmir Shaiva Tantra. He is a student of yoga since 1972. He first stayed in a monastery in the Himalayas and met many traditional masters studying extremely specific teachings of classical as well as tantric yoga practices. After some years of searching, meeting with Kashmiri Babu, an ascetic from the Shaiva tradition, he underwent a retreat of deep study into the spiritual quest. Also, very touched by his meetings with J. Krishnamurti and Sri Anand Mahima, he studied further important aspects of the inner path. It was the final encounter with Chandra Swami, an ascetic from the Brahmanic lineage of the Udasins, which would give a full understanding of all the teachings studied before. He has been teaching Mantra Yoga, Pran Kriya and Swadhyay. He is a Nidra Yoga instructor for the past 20 years across 5 continents. He is a board member of the European Union of Yoga, founder of Nidra Consciousness, founder member of Indian Yoga Association, and director of Nidra Study Centers across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming André Riel.
Yes. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, everyone. First of all, I want to thank United Consciousness for inviting me to this meeting. I'm talking to you from France, south of France, where it's still, it is the beginning of winter. It's a little cold here. I don't know where all the listeners are from. I know Vikranji is able to gather people from all over the world. And I'd like to thank him for doing this work, which is a big, big task. I'm here for talking a little bit about what has been called spirituality and the art of acceptance. Generally speaking, I know that in this in the yoga community, the idea of acceptance or the concept of acceptance is pretty much spread with this idea that people or yogis should reach a state, or at least conscious people should reach a state where they accept things, they don't oppose to reality. We really should be careful not mixing up this, we might call it a goal, with the personal possibilities that we have in daily life. Because seeing the situation of the world, we cannot accept what's going on. And the idea of accepting has to be very, very, or the concept of idea has to be questioned. What do we mean by accepting? And we could say that there are 3 stages. One would be a state of resignation, then a state of acceptance, then a state of surrendering. And most of the time, we consider that resignation is accepting, which is not at all. That's why I say that we should never accept anything. Anything we are interested in, we should never accept what is explained by others. We should question everything. If we are interested in one particular topic, freedom of the human, not only person, but of the human mind, is about finding by oneself what do we mean for anything that we consider to be important. What does it mean questioning deeply and not taking for granted whatever is said or given or shown by others, whoever they are. We today face a global situation where we know that a big number of leaders are corrupted, and we still follow them. By following them, we accept also to be personally corrupted-minded. And this has to be really, really questioned. When I talk about resignation brings a state where there is a strong duality in between what exists, what is, or we could say what is possible, and our wish. There is a strong conflict in between what we wish and what reality is. And in between those two, there is no agreement, never. And this disagreement brings a deep conflict within individual minds. But we should never forget that mankind is the union of all the individual minds. And if we are not personally clear, we participate to the global confusion. And this is what resignation is about. That is, we just follow a particular rule or a saying or what we are asked to behave like. And by following, we fall into this huge well, this huge deep well of confusion. So first thing, for acceptance, what has been called here the art of acceptance, first thing is not to follow anything and anyone. I know many of you maybe do not agree with this, especially into this, what is called spiritual world, where a kind of implicit rule has been accepted since thousands of years, where we just follow what our guide, what in India they call guru, what the guide says, and we do what he says or what she says. Which means losing one's own freedom. And for deeply accepting, there is a very important quality, which is to feel absolutely free. You cannot accept anything if you're not, before accepting, if you don't feel free. If we accept without feeling free, what we do is mainly putting our mind in jail, in prison. And this is what resignation is about, which is the most common behavior we can find all over the planet. Not only today, this might have been going on for centuries, because it is about the human mind. And the human mind has not changed so much since long. Now, when we talk about acceptance, which could be understood as the second step towards freedom, in acceptance, there is still a less, let's say, a lighter duality, but still there is duality, where the mind realizes the existence of conflict in between what is possible and what is wished. Remember, resignation is about a strong duality in between what is possible and what we wish. What I mean by what is possible, what exists and what we wish. In acceptance, we just realize that there is this disagreement going on in between what is and what we wish. In resignation, we don't see that. We just follow. So we could say that into this state of acceptance, duality is less strong, and the perception that we have of the conflict is softer. Now the question is, do we want to live in softer conflict, or do we want to live without conflict? And it's a big question, because many human beings, they're not interested in being free of conflict. Because through conflict, we can impose our point of view, and we can hope for others to follow us, which means we hope for others to accept what we say. But beyond what we say, we hope for people to accept what we are. And if our mind is corrupted, what we ask the people is to accept corruption. So these are really big questions when we're talking about acceptance. Not to follow. Then second point is being aware of what's going on within ourselves, being aware of the difference in between what we wish and what is. We cannot escape reality. This is impossible. Some spirituality have invented the concept that there was another reality somewhere beyond the sky, or we never know where. But reality is reality. We cannot, it's impossible to escape it. One day or another, we have to face it. So what is left if resignation is not a good answer, if acceptance is not a good enough answer? What is left for us? Yoga has kind of developed not only a concept, but what they call sadhana, practical experience that can be translated in English as surrendering. Surrendering is when duality vanishes, facing reality, facing what is. Surrendering is a state where duality vanishes. So in several traditions, this is what religions have based their programs, saying that we represent what they call God, or we are the we represent a state to which you have to surrender. This is resignation. This is not surrendering. Surrendering has to do with discovering a kind of beyondness where there is no more me and the other, where there is no more inside and outside, when there is no more differentiation. How to do this? Intellectually, we can easily understand that each human being behaves differently, has different ideas, is going through different emotions. This is very simple. But we can also intellectually perceive that deeply what we call the being, what we are, is common to all mankind. The personal being of a person doesn't exist. There is only one being. This is where the conflict in between the me and the other vanishes, disappears. When this disappears, what comes with is a state of surrendering, which is not at all resignation to everything that is asked to us, which is not at all accepting the difference in between what we wish and what is, surrendering us to do only with what is and nothing else. And what is not the object of whatever. What is the subject of our of what we or who we are. So it's about surrendering to what we are, remembering that what we are is not personal. This is a quite high, we could say, high level in the yoga studies. And we should never forget that it is not about studying through books or listening to speakers, but it is about realizing that we have only one life. And living is a very, very serious topic. It's a very, very serious thing. And it's about our life, not ideas, not concepts. And it starts from stopping following whoever or whatever. I wish you a nice day or night. I don't know where you are. I know you're spread all over the world. And please go deeply into all those topics that are presented to you since yesterday. And we are quite a number of speakers here. And I know some of them are very, very serious. And we ask you, because we are the world, I deeply ask you to inquire deeply, to question, to explore, and not to accept what is said. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, respected Andre ji. And I want to let audience know that Honorable Andre ji is the board member of United Consciousness. And Andre ji, listening to you always needs a pen and a paper, because what you say is that deeper that you can't, without complete focus, you can't understand. So beautifully, you mentioned about the importance that resignation means just following whatever is being told is not appropriate. You should think of something better. And acceptance also, you mentioned that don't just accept, ask questions to everything, just like Lord Buddha mentioned. And if you keep on accepting everything as it is, then you become what you follow. And if wrong people will make you accept, then you may also go in the lines of corruption also. And then you said that yoga sadhana provides a solution called surrender. I love the way you said surrender is a state where duality vanishes and reality begins. When there is no more me and you, no more inside and outside. So, this level gives us complete freedom. Only being is left. And you so beautifully said that there are not many beings. There is only one being. There is no personal being. And that is the mission of United Consciousness. One consciousness, one being. Complete the sense of surrender, Advait. And you said that surrender to what we are, surrender to life. I'm sure that the message must have reached to the audience in the spirit it has been told. Thank you very much for honoring us during your busy times.
Just let me tell you one thing, Vikramji. For listening, you don't need a pen and a paper. You need a silent mind and an open heart.
This is what again has to be thought upon. That's amazing. And I wish I could have hugged you, Andrew. Digital mediums have its own limitations. Sending a digital hug to you. Thank you.
Okay, and see you soon in Ujjain then.
Yes. Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
I owe my thanks to Mr. Andre Rail for guiding us the meditation practices. Thank you very much.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I'm delighted to welcome
Swami Turya. He is the founder of European Yoga Therapists Federation, which is a private charitable organization to promote and research yoga therapy. He was also behind the creation of famous Yoga Research Center of Madura College, Madurai. He has customized and devised courses on yoga therapy at university level. He has trained more than 7,000 students in yoga therapy. After his 15 years of yoga therapy teaching in academic institutions, he founded the Turya Ashram in Western Ghats of South India and trained international university students from all over the world in yoga therapy and yoga psychology. Under his guidance, Yoga Psychology magazine was published. Some of his students are practicing and working as yoga psychologists in US and in Europe. Swamiji is a firm believer of Guru Parampara tradition and science behind yoga practices. The yoga knowledge of Swamiji was influenced by the teachers like Maharishi Aruna, Yog Ratna Padma, Swami Niranjan, and Swami Shiva Yogam. Swamiji, in collaboration with mental health institutions of South India, has designed yoga-based intervention techniques for differently abled children in schools and schizophrenia management centers. Swamiji is the academic and yoga consultant for a number of mental health institutions in Tamil Nadu. Swamiji has authored a number of books and has presented selected papers on yoga therapy and yoga psychology. His major publications include Administration of Yoga Therapy Modules, Yoga Therapy Diabetic Management, Yoga Psychology Diagnostic, Yoga Psychology Lessons.
Namaste, Om Namah Shivaya, and my topic for the day is how to deal with the shame, and today I'm going to talk about from the yoga psychological perspective of how we can manage the shame. I would like to thank Dr. Vikramji for organizing such an amazing event, and people are going to have a Christmas holidays very soon in Europe. I'm talking from Belgium, and I realize that people are going for more kind of meditative mode because soon Christmas holidays are going to come and people are getting ready for that to be more meditative in a mode. And so it's ideal time to think about our life and ideal time to do some kind of a retrospection about what we have done all these years and what we have done the whole year with us. So one of the things that we come across recently is shaming. Like the shaming is getting more popular in everywhere, like body shaming, racial shaming, financial shaming. Like so much of shaming is you hear about like how people are shaming others and how people are feeling ashamed of what they do and how they feel. And so regarding this, so Vikramji was talking about and how yoga can help the people actually. So I'm going to give a brief, because of the time factor, I'm going to give you a brief thing about how yoga psychology helps to come over the shame. So what is actually the shame? Like the shame is kind of adaptive situation where you adapt. It's called, in a scientific term or in psychological term, it is called as adaptive challenges. So how you adapt to a situation, how your body adapts to a situation, and how you express your emotion and how you express yourself That is important. So when you are a shame prone person, or when you are affected by the shame, your response to the situation, your response to your body, and your response to the way you think is totally different than a normal person. So that is why shame considered as a little bit in a psychological terms or psychological way, same disorders. They call that a same disorder. Why they call shame as a disorder? Because same the shame can change your biology. The same can change your way you look at things. The same can literally change your whole personality. So here, what kind of a damage the same is doing to us is same can be sometimes psychological impact, can have a psychological impact, and same also have physiological impact, because shame produces some kind of a maladaptive responses. In a traditional way, same the scientific reports and scientific studies are saying that women are more prone to shame, and young adolescents are more prone to shame than other little man or other people. Why? Because we are always living with the concept of perfection. So when you all go as a woman, as a man, we always wanted to do things perfect, and everything has to be perfect in our life. So we are not able to adjust ourselves to give a right response to a situation. And then what happens is we constantly produce negative stimulus in our body and in our mind, which damages the very personality of us. So shame, first of all, when the first impact of the shame is that you begin to perceive yourself negatively, and you respond to others also negatively. In such a situation, what happens is that when you are feeling shameful for a long period of time, over a long period of time and a long duration, what happens is that those responses, sometimes those responses are so negative that they get crystallized in your body and in your mind. So yoga says when you are doing a sadhana, you are going towards more freedom. In this case, when the same responses you are experiencing it for so long and for so like so always you think about the same thing, what happens is that you, instead of going towards liberation, you are going towards more kind of a slavery. So what happens is when you are a slave for too long, you cannot enjoy the freedom anymore. That is the reason yoga comes to rescue. Here yoga says we have to live a life like a water and the lotus leaf. So the lotus leaf, even though stays under the water, but it never gets wet. Why it never gets wet? Because the lotus fruit, the lotus flower has developed kind of a strategy to live in a murky world with the dirty water, world with the dirty emotion, world around all the negative things. It learned to disassociate itself. So here, yoga psychology, based on Vedas and based on all other yoga knowledge, which is gathered from for more than thousands of years, as a unique wisdom, it offers how to deal with shame. So when you are having a shame, basically you are building and some kind of a negative atmosphere around you. So psychologists are saying that if you experience shame for too long, you begin to develop OCD complexes. So we call them as obsessive compulsive disorders. So if you keep on do it over a period of time, you develop so much of complexes around you. So how actually yoga comes here? The yoga psychology, it's a very old study, developed by the rishis and the Ved and all the Veda seekers and the Vedic scholars. They're coming with a unique perspective. So, what is that perspective about how to come out of shame, how to have a free life? See, I cannot live like this for anymore. I have lived like this for a long period of time. So I cannot live like this anymore. So how yoga can help me to come out of my shameful house or a shameful structure to have a experience the freedom and experience the bliss and experience happiness so that I can be radiating happiness not only to me, to other people also. So here yoga psychology has a unique perspective. What yoga psychology says is that the body is the city of Brahman. So you cannot damage the city of the Brahman because the Brahman, wherever Brahman lives, there is happiness lives, there is light lives, and the radiation, you are radiating love and affection towards others. So how can I come out of this shameful things? There is simple technique. Yoga says neti meditation, which is derived from the Upanishad, and Swami Adi Shankara has given this technique to people to come out of shameful experience. What is this neti meditation? Is I am not this, I am not that. My shame is not. I am not my shame. I am not my negative feelings. I am not my negative experience. I am. The Brahman is living inside me. I am Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. So that is important lesson that we are today. You have to learn that you are the abode of Brahman. You are the city of the Brahman. Your negative experiences are not your negative experiences. The negative experiences are the experience of this body that we carry. The negative experience cannot damage your Atman. The negative experience cannot damage inside who we are. So I would suggest you all to those who experience shameful conditions, or those who feel shame about what happened in their life, what is going to happen in their life. You don't have to live a life of shamefulness anymore. Just practice this meditation. Go to a guru or a swami or somebody who is trained well enough to deal with negative emotions, like who can teach you how to meditate this neti meditation, because that is an important technique. If you practice the technique for a while, you will really experience freedom. And also, I would suggest you to read the book by Dr. Vikrant Ji. He recently wrote a book. I read the book. It was a wonderful book, and it's an amazing book about how to live a life like Lord Krishna has lived. In that book, Lord Krishna advises Arjuna how to stay clear, how to say positive in all the situations we experience in our life. Maybe I would advise you to read that book also, so you will have more information and how to deal with your life and how to have a more positive energy too. And another thing I would request you to do is read the Brihadaranya Upanishad, which talks about human conditions, which talks about human mind, how human mind is pure, how human soul is pure, how experience are influencing our emotions, how experience are influencing our perception. Those things, the Brihadaranya Upanishad, which is like more than 1,000 years old, 800 years old, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure about it, but it gives amazing wisdom on human self. By reading that, you will have wonderful experiences. We don't have to live the life of shamefulness anymore, because shame literally destroys you. So my guru always used to say to me when I was a student of him, yeah, you have to search the things that what builds you up, what makes you free, and what makes you happy, what gives you the freedom in your mind, in your body. And the yoga sadhana, like other speakers have said, that it's a great tool to experience, to feel, and to make your life great. And I wish you all happy, wonderful New Year. In the New Year, I hope you can find your freedom and you can have a great life. I advise you to follow the sadhana, yoga sadhana, so that you can have a happy life, not only for you, for everyone around you. Namaste.
Namaste, dear Swamiji. Thank you very much for this deep talk on a very important matter of shame. You rightly said that shame produces maladaptive responses. It is a disorder. I was very touched when you mentioned the deeper aspect that it can impact on the psychology, physiology, biology of the person also. And if it remains for a long time, it can convert into OCD also. And then you, as a solution, you made us realize that this body is the city of Brahman and we should not damage it. For that, you suggested Neti meditation by Adi Shankaracharya and reaching to the realization of Aham Brahmasmi in that meditation again and again. You also suggested audience to read Bhagavad Gita and Vrihadakaranya Upanishad. I'm sure the message that you have sent to us from Belgium would have reached to the audience and would have benefited them and given them new dimensions and methods to think and to live their life. Thank you very much for blessing us, Swamiji.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Swami Turya for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much. On behalf of United Consciousness, I feel highly pleased to welcome our next guest, Ms. Caroline Vandemio. She's an adult psychiatrist, family and systematic psychotherapist from Belgium. She works at the Brussels Night Hospital, specialized in the psychosocial rehabilitation for patients suffering from chronic psychotic disorder. She shares the vision that human beings should be regarded in all their dimensions: biological, psychosocial, spiritual, and ecological, rather than a purely medical dimension. She co-teaches Sowa Rigpa counseling along with Dr. Tanida Chenko, training students in both traditional views of Sowa Rigpa and Buddhism, as well as modern psychology in the care of people suffering from mental distress. She hopes to be able to include traditional, nature-based and spiritual knowledge on mental health in a modern-day medical practices.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me. So today I'm going to talk, it was asked me to give a talk about spirituality and guilt. And when I heard about this subject, I was very touched because guilt is really a subject that I see nearly every day with my patients. When they consult me, I see a lot of guilt. I can say most of my patients have to do something or another with guilt. And so this is one of the most common themes I see in my medical practice. So what can I do with guilt? Because of course medication is not going to help. And when I discuss guilt with my patients, with time I have come to realize that guilt is like anger turned towards oneself. This is what I conclude from the discussions we had together. So what my patients with guilt, especially, of course, the most depressed ones are the ones who will, where it's the most obvious, but I can see this with all my patients. Many of them will say, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. I'm not good enough. Other people are better than me. They're smarter than me. They are more beautiful than me. I don't deserve to have all this that I receive because I'm so bad. And in the end, so that's the extreme, I better disappear. And there is, of course, this risk of suicide, which happens once in a while, unfortunately. This subject has made me think for over the years. I realize I work in a country where Christianity has been the main religion for many centuries. And this really has impregnated our culture. And I'm not going to talk about how other religions deal with guilt. I can only talk for the religion of my country. In Christianity, there is this idea of the original sin of Adam and Eve who committed a crime. they deserved punishment, and this idea has evolved into human beings are sinful by nature, they are not good enough. And this is, at least where I live, very culturally all-pervasive. Everyone feels this continuous guilt, even if we don't know why. We are guilty anyways. To give you a small anecdote, when I was a kid, we had to go to the church once in a while to go for confession. And we had to go and see the priest and confess our sins. And I would tell my teacher, I don't know what I did wrong, because the teacher told us you should say what you did wrong last week. And I said, I don't know what I did wrong. And then the answer, well, the priest was, of course you did something wrong. You are guilty of something. No one's perfect. So please confess. And if you don't confess, then your crime is that you are being too high, that you have too much ego. And so I would invent things that I had done wrong. And my classmates would do the same. Maybe not all of them, but this is how it was so strong that we do something, we are wrong, we are bad by nature. It's so strongly ingrained in the culture that it's really, it was just all around, and it did some damage to certain people. The other thing is that what I also see in my practice is that people are very afraid of conflict. We try to avoid conflict because we believe conflict is a bad thing. And so we avoid it as much as we can. So what happens is that our anger gets internalized with time because, of course, anger will not disappear. So we try to repress it. And so in the end, this anger will turn towards ourselves because we don't dare to resolve the conflict we have with the other. So what I hear, certain stories that I hear is my husband cheats on me because I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I should lose more weight. Or I lost my job because I'm too lazy. Although I work more than I should, but I could still do more. And because I didn't do enough, I'm losing my job. Or my kids yell at me because I'm a bad mother. I don't try hard enough to be a good mother for them. And so because they are angry at me, it means I'm a bad mother. And so I could go on with this list forever. So people, this people feel guilty. It's easier, what I'm saying is easier to feel guilty than to try to resolve the conflict and to try to show the anger and to try to resolve it in a healthy conflict with the other. Of course, in our country, people are not very religious anymore. They don't go to church anymore. But I'm just saying the Christian culture is still very present. It's still ingrained very strongly in families. What I also realize is that other traditions are probably less about guilt and more about regret and responsibility. I do something wrong, and therefore I regret my action. But I still remain the same person. So it's not about me, but it's about my actions. Whereas guilt is about me. I'm basically someone bad. Whereas when we are about regret and taking responsibility for our actions, it's nothing about me. It's something I did wrong. I had a wrong view. So I'm just trying to get my view right again. And therefore, I can see that I did something wrong. And so it is all about the action, but I remain the same person behind the action. And then, of course, it can become more philosophical. Who is me? Is there an ego and all those things? But I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that when we talk about regret, it's much more powerful because regret is about actions and it's not about the person who is doing the action. So by regretting, I can make things up, or I can promise never to make the mistake again. And so when I talk with my patients about guilt, we will talk a lot about those things. And when I'm trying to help them change the word guilt and really define what they feel with their guilt and then try to change it with regret, for them it's really to hear the word regret as opposed to guilt. It really changes a lot for them. It really helps them to understand what's happening, and it really helps them to on the path of healing. And And of course, we can say, yes, but in the Christian tradition, you have this thing of confession where you ask for forgiveness and you will be forgiven by God, and therefore it will purify you. But over the centuries, there has been an abuse on this by overly focusing on my wrongdoing by the church. And so, therefore, it has been, I don't think it was the original idea in Christianity to say that we are all so bad by nature, but the church and the religion, the official religion, really made it into that. I once met a Christian priest, not a Catholic one, who the first thing he told me is he said, oh yeah, you are a doctor, so people get sick because of the original sin and they need to pay for their original sin. And I was very shocked by this. I said, well, I don't see people who are sick as being people who need to be punished because they did something wrong, and those who are healthy who didn't do something wrong. So anyways, there's still this very, people who are sick are guilty. And so people who are sick, who are mentally ill, they feel this guilt very, very strongly. But of course, there are solutions. I don't find them. I didn't find them. They probably exist, but I didn't find them in the religious traditions. And in the psychiatry practice, we have inspired ourselves in the spiritual traditions, especially in Buddhism. And of course, in Buddhism, there are the 4 immeasurables. The 4 immeasurables, which are the wish that all sentient beings have happiness, that all sentient beings don't suffer, have the absence of suffering, that all sentient beings can be joyful, and that all sentient beings have equanimity. So those 4 immeasurables, I believe, are very powerful to heal from this sense of guilt. But so this is wished for all sentient beings, and many people will repeat this for all sentient beings, but we see more and more that we should start with oneself. And many people have a difficult time to include themselves in this wish, to wish themselves happiness, absence of suffering, joy, and equanimity. They feel guilty just by wishing that for themselves. They have an easy time wishing this for others, but they have a very hard time wishing this for themselves. They say, I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve to not suffer. I don't deserve to feel this joy, and I don't deserve to have this equanimity. So the first step when we do those 4 immeasurables is really to help people turn this toward themselves. And so I have in my meditations with my patients, because I do meditate with patients once in a while. What we sometimes do is, I will not, of course, not call it Buddhism. I will not call it anything because my patients come from old backgrounds. But we do a meditation where we will, instead of saying I'm sending love towards myself, I ask them to close their eyes and to imagine someone that they really love, someone that loves them unconditionally. It can be someone alive, someone dead, or it can be their animal, it can be whatever. And they're so happy to meet that person, and they visualize that person in front of them. And they're so happy to meet that person, and they receive all the love from that person, and they're so happy to feel it. And so they feel this love coming from someone they love. So it's easy to imagine, it's easy and so they feel that they receive it, and it helps them so much. And whenever I do this, it's very powerful for my patients. And then I do the other way around. They give it back to the person that they love. So I think this is really a first step to working on that guilt, because by doing this, people have a very good feeling. And it's not selfish, because people are afraid that if they wish something good for themselves, they will be selfish. And I think it's not a selfish thing to do that, and to do it this way. Someone they love, give them the love. It really has a very powerful healing effect. And in psychiatry, there are certain practices which are inspired by all those religious traditions, especially in the mindfulness tradition. But we can see that purely mindfulness-based cognitive therapy is not always successful because of this lack of self-compassion that lots of people do have. And so with time, people who practice this mindfulness with patients have understood this, and they have developed new practices. The most famous one being mindful self-compassion. This is just what I described. So you have the compassion training, the compassion cultivation training, and all those things. So the first step is self-compassion, which is essential for healing and very difficult for many people, and we really should not skip that step. And the second step, after you have accepted that you deserve this love, this unconditional love, and this unconditional compassion, it will be much more easy to accept mistakes because it's like you are giving all your love. For example, when you have children, you love your children, and if your children make a mistake, you're going to help them to go through that mistake and take responsibility for their actions. But you are not going to say they are evil and bad and they have a bad basis. You accepted it. You know it's human that they make mistakes. So you turn the mistakes, you make it about actions and not about the person. And so when you understand this for yourself, it's much more easy also to understand it for others. And so I really believe by using in the inspiration from all those great religious traditions and put them into practice in the medical practice for people who really suffer from severe mental distress, for example, depression, it can really have a powerful effect for people in mental distress because of this. And so, of course, medication is very helpful, for example, for someone who is severely depressed. But there are meditation practices which can be very powerful in healing to deal with the guilt problem and really help people get over the guilt problem and change it into regret. And then by changing it to regret, become more responsible and more powerful in their action. And so this will be helpful for healing people from their mental illness. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Caroline. It is always treat to the soul listening you. And the amazing blend that you bring of science and sacred is something which is, I think, unique about your speech. So nicely you brought the impact of the concept of original sin on the psychology of the people. And so nicely you brought as a solution that instead of guilt, it should be regret and responsibility. It gives more breather to the people and they feel more in command that I am not wrong, my actions are wrong. As it is, as you said, it is the rather change of paradigm for them mentally. And as a solution, you mentioned about Buddhism's 4 immeasurables that gives that all sentient beings and me also deserve happiness, lack no suffering, joyfulness, and equanimity. But then you said that people lack self-compassion. And then I was so touched with the idea that you brought that in meditation, you tell them, okay, fine, if you can't bless yourself that much because you feel you don't deserve it, have some of your loved ones blessing you. That's amazing idea. You also mentioned about self-compassion meditation. You also talked about accept mistakes are of the actions, not of the persons. And you gave the importance that meditation can help in dealing with the guilt. That's amazing. United Consciousness looks forward to work with you for human good. And very soon office will contact you to take your guidance in further. Thank you very much, Dr. Caroline.
Very much.
Thank you.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Dr. Caroline Van Demu for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much.
Sukadev Brits is founder of Yoga Vidya. He knows how to transmit profound wisdom humorously. His special ability is to motivate yoga aspirants to practice intensely, to see higher meaning in daily experiences, and to bring more energy and heart into everyday life. Sukadev Brits is the author of 10 books, among them commentaries on Yoga Sutra and Bhagavad Gita and the recently published royal path to equanimity. He is quite active, spreading yoga via the internet in yoga videos and podcasts in English and German. Sukadev had spiritual experiences from childhood on. As a youngster, he was fascinated by the possibilities of the human mind and started with regular meditation as a teenager. He used to spend a few times several months in intense meditation and pranayama. In 1992, Sukadev founded Yoga Vidya, now one of the leading yoga movements in Europe. Yoga Vidya has 4 major ashrams, nearly 100 yoga centers, and 20,000 yoga teachers. Today, he lives in Germany, in Hornbach, Mainburg. Get inspiration and energy from this dynamic spiritual teacher. Please welcome Sukadev ji.
Namaste, Om Namah Shivaya. On behalf of Yoga Vidya, of United Consciousness, and of European Yoga Federation, I welcome you to a short talk with thoughts on spirituality and interpersonal relationships. I'm very grateful to Dr. Vikrant and his team for organizing such a wonderful event. Over 100 speakers from all the continents, from many nations, from many different religions and spiritual traditions. Let's unite in one consciousness, one being. My topic today is spirituality in interpersonal relationship. I'm coming from Yoga Vidya, which is a Yoga Vedanta tradition. There are 4 aspects of yoga from which I want to take some suggestions for spiritual relationships. Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga. Jnana Yoga says, we are all one. There's one spirit in all of us, one consciousness. And when we meet somebody else, we can say, I am in you, you are in me. Mentally, we can feel that. If you see somebody, connect deeply with him, with her. Take some moment to feel unity. If you see your partner before you start talking, feel oneness. When you see your child, one moment, feel oneness. And with colleagues and friends, even with those who are unfriendly, be aware we are all one. Maybe you want to right now think of somebody. Feel one. In this moment, feel connected. Second of yoga, which gives some thoughts on interpersonal relationships, is Raja Yoga, the yoga of mind control. Raja Yoga on one hand side says, be ethical. A sign of a controlled mind is that you can remain ethical. And among all the ethical prescriptions, 2 are the most important. Satya, truthfulness, ahimsa, don't do harm. And you can, whenever you are together with somebody, you can think of, I want to be truthful and I don't want to do harm. More important than not doing harm, of course, is develop Maitri Bhavana, loving kindness. Patanjali mentions loving kindness on many different occasions. The 34th verse of the first chapter, Yoga Sutra, he says, mind becomes clear by developing loving kindness, compassion, serenity, equanimity towards pleasure, pain, vice, virtue. Patanjali says, when your mind is clear and quiet, then you realize your true self. And if you develop kindness, your mind will become calm. And on the other hand side, if you have a calm mind, it's easier to feel loving kindness. Patanjali gives a few hints how you can develop this loving kindness towards everybody around you. He says in the 3rd chapter, 17th verse, by doing full concentration on the sound of the other, you get intuitive knowledge of the other person. When somebody talks, be fully concentrated on the sound of his voice. full concentration on what the other person says, and then you develop your intuition. 24th verse, the third chapter, he says, Maitri Adishu Bhalani, develop the power of friendliness. The 19th verse, he says, through concentration on the thoughts of another, one obtains knowledge of his mind. So from a point of view of Raja Yoga, to overcome your personal ego is see the world through the eyes of the other person. Try to understand him or her, become basically him or herself. Hridaya Chitta Samvit, by concentration on the heart, you get the knowledge of the mind. This feeling like the other is not just thinking, but with your heart, feel the heart of the other person. And if you feel the heart of the other person, then you get rid of the small prison of your own ego. 39th verse, he says, when the cause of attachment is loosened, the mind can put itself in someone else's place. Put yourself into someone else's place. Try to understand him, her completely. Feel like him or her. That's how you loosen your identifications. That's how your interpersonal relationships become deep and spiritual. Bhakti Yoga says, that's the third path, Jnana Yoga, Raja Bhakti. Whatever happens, happens because of the divine. See all as God's children. Become aware God is behind everything. Ask yourself again and again, how does the divine manifest itself through the person in front of me? The essence of bhakti is love. Love towards God, love towards nature, love towards all beings. Karma yoga means you put all that into action. Karma yoga means yoga of action and selfless service. You can always think, how can I help the person in front of me? What can I do to help him or her? And what can I learn with this person? What is my duty? Where should I work on myself? Meaning, by dealing with the others, where do I find parts in myself which have to be dealt with? And by being with others, you see where there's potential for developing. Most important, to summarize, most important in interpersonal relationship is love. The essence of spirituality is love. And the essence of spirituality in interpersonal relationships is love. We are all one. Let's understand each other. Let's feel love towards each other, whether husband, wife, children, parents, friends, colleagues. Let's put us in the shoes of the other. Let's learn from every aspect of our relationship. Let's feel together, work together, feel one consciousness, one being. Thank you all for listening. Let's become aware again and again. There's one consciousness, one humanity, one planet Earth. We're all interconnected. Let us feel this with heartfelt love. Let's work for unity, for connectedness, out of a spirit of oneness. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you very much, respected Sukhdevji. In very nutshell, you mentioned all four different parts of yoga and how they can contribute in making interpersonal relationship good. If you may permit me to ask a question which I got from some of the people. For an interpersonal relationship, many times ego becomes a problem. I am ready to keep my ego low, but another person always keeps it high. How to deal with it?
Putting love towards the other person. Because if the other person has seemingly a strong ego, usually they have little self-confidence. If you feel towards the heart of the other and you feel love, and of course then you have to do what has to be done, but this feeling of love is the essence.
Thank you. And that's amazing what you said, that people with high ego, somewhere in deep down in their heart, they have lack of confidence. So they need to be poured with more love, is it?
Yes.
Another question for interpersonal relationship is this, that I'm not very good at expressing myself, and I expect other person to understand me without expressing, which does not happen. I feel wounded.
Mhm. There are two aspects of it. One again is feel the heart of the other person. If you always think of yourself, shall I express myself, shall I not express myself, and so on, you create a barrier. If you yourself open your heart towards the other person and you also start asking questions about the other person, if you try to really show interest in the other person will start having interest in you. So that's the easiest part. Of course, there's another part. You can also say, I need to develop courage. So then write a few things you want to say, and then just say them. Make a strong commitment. Today, I'm going to talk about myself. And first, of course, you can say, well, I want to say a few things to you. Do you have time now, or when do you have time? And then you can say something. But I think more important, you really show interest in the other person. Usually the other person will show interest in you.
Last question, maybe a single liner answer or 2-3 lines will be good. We love each other, but late off we have seen that love has got converted into possessiveness. We know it is wrong, but it still happens, and that creates problem in relationships. How to deal with possessiveness?
There was some internet connection problem.
Okay.
Maybe you can just.
So the question is this, that love, when it gets converts into possessiveness, it starts creating problem. But we can't control that feeling of possessiveness. It automatically comes up. How to deal with it?
Again, is deepen the relationship with your heart and with love towards the other person. If that's really, you feel with your heart, the heart of the other, then the connection is strong. And if this connection is strong, it's a good protection against anything else.
Deepening the love eliminates possessiveness. Thank you. Thank you very much, respected Sukhdev ji. We are really honored to get blessings. Thank you.
I humbly thank Shri Sukhdev ji for teaching us the practical yoga practices for attuning our mind, body and soul. Thank you very much, Sukhdev.
Every religion has outer shell of rites and rituals, ceremonies and beliefs, but the inner core teaches only compassion, love, tolerance, and the essence is to attain eternal bliss. So let's have a panel discussion on the topic spirituality and religion. On behalf of United Consciousness, I welcome and introduce our next guest, Ms. Nyamvati. She is an experienced internationally certified yoga teacher with over 1,000 hours teaching experience. She is voted as Kenya's top female yoga professional by the Indian High Commission during International Yoga Day 2020. She has been practicing yoga for over 18 years. She is a founder of the biannual Kelefi Wellness Festival, as well as a certified kinesthetic and Reiki therapist with a bachelor's degree in psychology and philosophy. She is also the founder of Yoga Alchemy, a pioneer program combining traditional yogic practices with modern psychotherapy treating depression and anxiety. She uses her skill to create holistic healing and coaching programs and retreats and has been featured as a keynote speaker on global summits such as the Embodiment Conference and World Parliament on Spirituality. Nyamvati teaches in Anglophone East Africa and Francophone West Africa, as well as traveling to host retreats and workshops. Her teaching styles include intuitive Vinyasa flow, alignment-based Hatha, office yoga, restorative yoga, and yin yoga. Her yoga classes are trauma-informed and incorporate a holistic approach to the 8 limbs of yoga and incorporate breath work, pranayama, meditation, mindfulness, energy work, and aromatherapy. Nyamvati's vision is to be a healer and a teacher in service to others, helping transform and restore psychological and physiological well-being through the gift of yoga, psychotherapy, and energy works. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Ms. Nyamvati. I feel delighted to invite Ms. Aishwarya Devi, who is an experienced dancer, choreographer, the founder of Yoga Dance System, and one of the first yoga teacher in Greece. In 1987, she founded the ballet school in Athens. In 2005, she founded new school in Athens by the name of Raj Yoga Anahata Center of Art, where she continues teaching different kinds of yoga. She has been greatly inspired and spiritually enlightened by the teachings of Paramhansa Satyananda, Master Kao Koksui, Pandit Shri Ram Sharma Acharya, Mataji, and others. While being the creator of the yoga dance system, she has been invited to many international festivals. In 2012, she presented her system at the International Yoga Festival in Portugal. In 2013, she presented Yoga, Culture and Spirituality in International Festival from Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya University in Haridwar, India. She has made various presentations and speeches on Greek, television, radio, magazine. Speaking on all the yoga matters, she has worked wholeheartedly for the betterment of our society and the elevation of the human spirit. Nowadays, she is making efforts to transmit the global message of compassion, love, and communication to the whole world, to people who seek to understand their own lives and their inner self, regardless of gender or religion. I am glad to welcome our next guest, Ms. Shailja, who is a versatile being. She is an author, certified integral yoga and Manasa yoga teacher, TV host and speaker. She grew up in Coimbatore, India, but she is based in Malaysia. She has over 20 years of teaching experience and is the founder of Mat and Am Beyond Yoga Studio. She hosted Yoga Shakti, a TV series on Anand TV based in UK. She conducts online asana and pranayama and Dhyana classes in UK and USA. Over the years, she has been invited to speak at several educational institutions and organizations in Malaysia, India, and USA. She has been featured in leading newspapers in India. Ms. Shailja hosts podcasts on Facebook with eminent personalities in yoga and Vedanta. She is a passionate advocate of mental wellness through the tools of yoga, including asana, pranayama, dhyana, mantra, and yoga sutra philosophy. And she seeks to share that knowledge through every platform available to her. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Ms. Shailja. On behalf of United Consciousness, I welcome Dr. Vedamurti Olav. He is Acharya in Yoga Vidya and also a member of Yoga Vidya. He has studied business management and worked at different universities in Germany. He is yoga teacher and trainer of yoga teachers, systematic coach, psychological yoga therapist, yin yoga teacher. He has learned Vedanta with James Quads, a disciple of Swami Chinmayananda. He is responsible for the Yoga Vidya Center of Excellence of Traditional Vedanta. He develops and teaches training and courses of Vedanta based on scriptures like Tattva Bodha, Bhagavad Gita, and Upanishads.
Namaste, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are in the part of the world. Aishwarya Devi ji, namaste.
Namaste.
Shailja ji, namaste. Vedamurti ji, namaste. And Nyayavati ji, namaste. We welcome you. I guess somebody's mic is echoing. If you can switch off the mic off. Now it's good. Yes. Somebody's mic is echoing. If you can switch off the mic. Yes, thank you very much. So, I guess Aishwarya Devi ji, your mic is echoing. So, whenever you speak, you unmute and speak. So, dear friends, I welcome you.
No.
Aishwarya Devi ji, your mic is echoing. Now it is off. Yes. Whenever you speak, you switch on and speak. That is fine. Thank you very much. So, friends, I welcome you from different parts of the world and all our gracious audience watching us. We are going to discuss a very important, useful, and contemporary topic: spirituality and religion. So much bloodshed has happened in the name of religion. It has been always a very thin line that has been defined at many places between religion and spirituality. So, in the ease of discussion, I would like to ask from Vedmurti ji first. Are spirituality and religion same, or is there any difference in them? Please unmute and speak.
Namaste. Yeah, from my point of view, it depends on the definition that you give spirituality and religion. If you take a very broad definition of religion, that in the sense of a path to come back to find your source, then I think it's quite similar. Yeah? But if you choose a definition of special religion system like Christianity or Islam or something else, Hinduism, then there may be differences. From my point of view, the essence of spirituality is to find your essence, yeah, and our essence is subtle, very subtle. It can't be seen or felt, and therefore, we have to look and feel for the subtle things.
And what is your opinion, Shailja ji? Is there any difference between spirituality and religion, or are they same? Please unmute and speak. Yes. Bottom tab. Yes. And you can keep yourself unmuted other than Aishwarya Devi ji. Rest mics are not echoing. Yes.
Okay, so again, there's no black and white answer for this, because again, religions are not the same, right? I mean, spirituality in many ways, the definition is the same, as we're all trying to connect to our inner essence, as was just said. And, the individual essence trying to merge with the universal essence. But religion is so different, right? We have the Abrahamic religions, where it is all about name and form, right? There is one name and one form. But if you look at religions like Hinduism, in many ways it is very spiritual in its essence, because if you look at the scriptures like Vedanta and all of that, the most famous, like they say, the Vakyas, the Mahavakyas, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, you are that, I am that. So that is very spiritual in its essence. So it really depends on what religion that you follow. And also, I feel in many ways a lot of the bloodshed and a lot of the problems is really because we only touch the surface, right? If you go to the essence and the values of each religion, it probably is the same, about love, about compassion, about connection. So really depends on what religion we're talking about, but the essence of spirituality is really the same.
So spirituality in essence is same, and religion depend on their own different point of views. I understand that. Aishwarya Devi ji, let me put this question in a different way to you. Can I be spiritual without being religious?
Hariom, of course, we can be spiritual without being religious, because spirituality is connected with the higher self, the Atman stage. So beyond images, feelings, beliefs, habits, actions, lifestyles, mountains, seas, cities, big professional stages, states. Spirituality is the throne of God. So it is the existence. It's beyond time, space, and causality. So every one of us is connected with the spirit, with the spiritual chord. But religious, like Jung used to say, is that the human, the man, is by nature religious, because he's considering that the religious, the state of the unconsciousness, which influences the activities of the consciousness, mind, and behavior. Is the religious is the unconsciousness. So in life, when we are living, we are having the beliefs and the habits. So the images, we want to make God in an image, in an icon, so we can follow this symbol. So religious can be in different stages and with different ways exploring, but spirituality is another. It's another cause.
Thank you very much, Aishwarya Deviji. You may need to mute your mic. That is echoing. Thank you. So Aishwarya Deviji mentioned that spirituality is the higher self, but when you feel for your God and you want to give it a shape, so different people felt differently, and that's why we find different shapes of God, different forms of God at different places. Quite nice you mentioned. Now the question comes is, if I can be spiritual without being religious, and when all the religions teach peace, then why there is so much chaos? Nayavati ji, I don't know any religion that teaches to fight, but in the name of religion, everybody fights. We always have seen search for God, gold, and glory in 15th century. So why people fight in the name of religion when religion teaches peace? Nayavati ji. Till you fix your mic, Vedamurti ji, go ahead. Yes, same question.
That's a huge question. I can't solve all the problems of all the world, but from my point of view, it's identification. It's avidya. That's the problem. Yeah, if you identify with some limited object, with a person, or also with a country or a region or something like that, or a gender, and want to fight with someone, and your mind is made like this, and if you're also fanatic, for example, then this can happen. But if you cultivate your mind, your heart, and you're able to develop ahimsa, compassion, and so on, then that's, from my point of view, the solution. So to bring this into the world, to bring it to the people, but we can't force it. Everybody has to do it himself.
So Vedamurti ji said that the limited identification, a person with a limited mindset, limits the God also in its scope. So how do you define yourself? He said that avidya, wrong identification of self, leads to the wrong identification of God also. That's quite very nice way of putting it. Nayavati ji, when all religions teaches peace, why there is conflict? If you couldn't fix it, Shelja ji will answer and then we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Shelja ji. The same question.
Yeah, so we have these inner instruments of the mind, right? Manas, Buddhi, Ahamkara, and Chitta. So I think the ego or Ahamkara plays a very big role in all our interactions with the world and interactions with ourselves as well. So I feel this is a very limited mindset, like our Vedamurti ji just said, where we are so, it's like children, right? When we're kids, we have like, my toy is better than your toy. And then, my dad's job is better than your father's job. And then as we grow up, it becomes about, my religion is better than your religion. So it is just that small mindset which never expanded. And it's just so egoistic about mine being better than yours. So I just see it as a sense of unconsciousness and a sense of limitedness that is expressed with these kind of beliefs. Because the more we expand, the more our minds expand, the more it encompasses and touches on something that cannot be expressed through form, then we really cannot hold on to these beliefs anymore. And we just really have to know that what, just because we have a certain belief or we have a certain form of a god, that's not really it, and there are so many so many ways to the truth.
Wow. So she second what Vedamurti ji said, that out of antahakarana, this ahankara is the major problem, and she said that idol maybe probably which is made of matter should be elevated to the formless rather than formless to be brought down to the matter itself. So limited identities creates the limited mindset and the problem persists. Aishwarya Deviji, I love this, the idol of God which I worship. You love another idol of God which you worship. Now, how to be together, how to live together peacefully.
You mean the methods of?
I practice some different practices. I believe in some different idols. You have different practices. You have different idols. How can we
Yes, but
live peacefully?
Yeah, but spiritual experimental methods are the same, like silence, like meditation, and soul contemplation. So whenever you are to one side or to the other side, you should use these experimental methods, because mind is the same, soul is the same, and beliefs towards God is the same. So I think that maybe some words or some methods like rituals can change, but even in the rituals, I am a Christian and I know also very good of the Vedic rituals, and I'm practicing that. We have same connections. We have same like rice, the fire, the candles. We have the same methods that we are approaching God, or religious methods, or we are getting influenced by the spirituality that the religion can teach us from the childhood until adult age.
Thank you. So she said that yes, you may need to mute Aishwarya ji. So she mentioned that our Aishwarya Devi ji, you may need to mute it.
Yes, but
yes, thank you. So she mentioned that yes, idols are different, rituals are different, she said, but go beyond the ritual is the spiritual, probably she said. And she said the soul is same, love is same, meditation is same. So Shelja ji, when I die, I go to Swarga. When you die, you go to heaven. When somebody else die, he goes to Jannah. And the regulations in Jannah, Swarga, and heaven are different. So how can I live with you?
I think what is more important is how we live right now, and how we die or where we go after we die. So when we live, we live well, and the whole process of the human journey is really evolving and evolution of the human consciousness. And that is where our effort should go. And that is where we should really be directing, and I always say it's from unconsciousness to consciousness, right? That is the path. And for me as a yoga practitioner, it all happened through the yoga practice. So the body, the from gross to subtle is always the path. And for that, that's where the body work comes in, where we really learn to connect with our bodies first. And even students come to my class, even left hand, right hand, all of that is such a mix, because our minds and bodies are so disconnected. But that is what happens through a yoga class. We get connected to our bodies, we get connected to our minds, we get connected to our breaths, right? And then it takes us to a level deeper. If you look at even the definition of asana in the Yoga Sutras, right? Even there he talks about, Maharishi Patanjali talks about prayatna shaitalyam ananta samapatibhyam. So when the effort ceases, then you really connect to that state of ananta, that endlessness, that limitlessness, which is all there within our purview to experience and explore. It is just that we get so caught up in where we go after heaven and where we go after our death to hell, right? So we don't pursue all of this. So our effort should really be directed towards pursuing all of this in our lifetimes.
That's nice. She said that, as Jesus once said, let the dead bury their own dead. Let's focus on how to live peacefully, nicely. What happens after death, we'll see it after death. As they say, cross the bridge when it will come. Vedamurti ji, I feel my God is the best and the last. Somebody else said that his God is the best and the last. Mr. Y said his God is the best and the last. How can I live with you?
If you put your identity on the self, if you see yourself as everything, all pervading, then you can accept everyone as he is, yourself, your body, your person, and every other person. So, my suggestion would be, change your identity from I'm limited, I'm separated from you, to I'm everything. Then you can embrace everyone, everything, every experience of the day, every thought of yourself or others. That's the solution of Vedanta.
Perfect. Vedamurti ji said that the only definition he knows is probably when your circle of love is expanding, accepting all, it means you are being spiritual. So that's nice, Vedamurti ji, all pervading, accepting all. But the problem is, Aishwarya Devi, I cannot accept my next door neighbor even when he homes, when he parks on my land. What are you talking about accepting who you are? What is your take in that? I can't accept my daughter-in-law. I can't accept my son as he is. This acceptance is that all that easy?
I believe that it's possible for every human. It's that to actually actualize that blessed and that blessed and unique, I can say, state in which can feel inside the being, inside the heart, only the God and nothing else. So in this way, you don't have the separation from your neighborhood or from any person that shows the beliefs like this, not the spiritual beliefs, but the religion beliefs. So whenever you have God inside you, you are connected with every soul in this planet and beyond this planet. So open heart and the state of God inside us lead us with no contemplation and no separation from the others.
Thank you. Aishwarya Devi ji mentioned that have God within you, and once you have God in yourself, behave like God would have behaved. Jesus said, forgive them because they know not what they are doing. So, probably when you have God Himself, then your behavior will be like God Himself gradually. Shelja ji, this concept of acceptance, which Vedamurti ji said, is probably one of the things that world needs to learn today. But is that all that easy? Boss is not ready to accept the subordinate. Husband is not ready to accept wife as it is. Siblings are not ready to accept each other. Somebody is not ready to accept that. How can we talk about accepting different nations when we can't accept the people living in the same house? How spirituality can approach to it?
Well, the way I see spirituality is it's a process, right? It's not like going from 0 to 100. And we kind of work on increasing our circle of love. So, in the beginning, our journey is really to even accept the people in our lives. Like you say, husbands and wife accept each other. You accept your child. Even to accept your child sometimes can be a struggle when they, strike out on their own. They want to do things that you would necessarily not approve of or want them to do. So there is a struggle in every relationship, but that is the journey. That is our spiritual journey as well, to be able to expand our hearts and work on accepting, because it is when there is non acceptance and resistance that we suffer. So, to me, asana practice is a great way to do that, right? There are so many postures that work on opening the heart space, back bends, especially like Bhujangasana, and then you have the Urdhva Dhanurasana. All of them work on opening up that heart space, and all of this happens also in a very organic, painless manner. So though we can tell ourselves as much as we want, oh, I have to accept it and I have to do it, but acceptance can only happen naturally. And to me, asana practice is a beautiful way to work on ourselves and to bring ourselves to that state of ease. And when we are in that state of ease, it's easier to accept, right? When we're not so rigid about boundaries and definitions and my way or the highway, right? All of that eases in our asana practice. Thiram Sukham Asana. So when we get to those states, and later on, it does, you don't necessarily have to do an asana to get to that state. So initially, right, you need that asana practice to get there. But
Thank
when
you
we are
very
in that
much.
state of sukham, then we have that ability to be non-reactive, non-judgmental, to simply observe, right? To be in that sakshi bhava where we are simply the observer, and we're able to accept people and allow them to go on their own way, even though you may not necessarily approve of it.
Well, Shaljaji mentioned that it won't happen overnight, that acceptance, it's a continuum. And the struggle is there, yes. First, accept the struggle. That, okay, fine. It is there, and then you will learn through it. Asanas can be an important tool in that. She mentioned some of the asanas. We have Navati ji with us. If your network permits, the question right now with us is how to generate acceptance towards others.
Thank you, and thank you for your
Quick tip.
patience with
No worries.
with my
Quick
really,
tip,
really bad
Aisha.
network this Sunday.
It
Okay,
happens.
so
So we
how to
accept your
generate?
network as it is. We just question is how to increase acceptance for everybody. Actionable items, practical tips.
Okay, how to increase acceptance? Well, I think the first thing would be to understand that our ego will always fight this, and to accept that we will have a certain level of resistance within us for whatever it is. And then the second thing is to just logically understand that no one ever changed or transformed from a place of comfort. So you must be in a place of discomfort in order for any change or transformation that you're asking for to happen. And so I find these are tools that help me start to understand, okay, well, change is here, whether I want it to be here or not. And in understanding those two, it helps me to accept the reason that change is there and to surrender and give into it.
Thank you very much. Surrender, minimizing ego. External forces won't make things change. The change has to come from within. are the good points. I will ask Vedamurti ji the same question. Quick executionable tips. How to increase your circle of love.
How to increase your cycle of love?
This is a question from Vedamurti ji, Nayavati ji.
Sorry.
I think from my point of view, it's the most important thing to have an inquiring mind. Yeah. So pay attention to everything that's happening inside of you, outside of you. Yeah. Try to connect the dots between your actions and the results that are happening in your life. Yeah. Also in the communication with others, and be receptive and think about it, and try to adapt and develop yourself, grow like this. And I think from my point of view, that's a core.
Thank you. Aishwarya Devi ji, quick executionable tips to increase this acceptance, as you said, feel God within us. What else can be done? Execution.
Yeah, I think there are the 5 basic aspects about that. First is inquisitiveness, like towards the universe, the self, the soul, which gives rise to what we call objective of the research. Second is the selection of the type of sadhana suitable suitable as per one's instinct, tendencies, and mental makeup. Third is experiment in the laboratory of the mind and body. That makes, of course, cleansing and conditioning of this mind-body system, and we are working that on yoga. Another one is the vigilance discipline and examination of the spiritual mentor, the guru, if we are in India or in any place, to regularly assess the progress of the disciple, because in experiments, in the spiritual experiments, you are supposed to verify and evaluate the intermediate results before concluding anything. And the last one is the inference of or concluding decision after thorough analysis, because the rishis had first conducted the experiments on themselves, and that's why we have this knowledge, and then devised different sadhana methods for spiritual refinement and transmutation.
Thank you. Thank you, Aishwarya ji. Shailja ji. Quick tips, 2 executionable points that can be done from today itself.
To increase the circle of love?
Yep.
I think there's a beautiful concept from Shaivism that says Pratyabhignya Hridayam, which means that the soul, the individual soul or the spiritual soul of the individual is the same as the soul of the universe as well, or the heart of the universe as well, recognizing that. So I think philosophy helps in that, when our minds expand and we connect to all of these beautiful philosophies and these beautiful, like Aham Brahmasmi, I am that, Tattvamasi, you are that. When we expand and connect to all of this, we sense the interconnection between, so the separation is not. So while the limited mind is stuck with separation, as we expand our minds and evolve, we get more connected to what is the sameness between all of us. And even when we travel to other countries, right, we look for the sameness. We realize emotions and, the heart, all of that is the same thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shailja ji. Now, Nayavati ji, the last question is specific 2-liner answer for the question, from where should I begin to contribute in world peace?
Well, I think the very easy but difficult answer is you begin with the self, because you cannot have change that is replicated to many without starting from a single central point. So you start with cultivating peace in yourself. If you're having a lot of conflict with your interpersonal relationships. It's understanding why and learning peaceful communication, learning those tools.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I would say it starts with the self.
So giving a message of love to everybody around, expanding the circle of love. For that, we need to say I love you to all. So we can begin with our own native languages, saying I love you to the world. So let me begin. In Hindi, we say it, मैं तुम्हें प्यार करता हूँ. How does we say it in German? Veda Murthy ji.
Ich liebe dich.
Nice. How does it do we say in Greece? Aishwarya Devi ji.
Αγάπησε όλους.
Thank you. How do we say it in your place, Nayavati ji?
Well, the language is Kiswahili, and the saying is nakupenda, nakupenda sana.
Nice. Thank you. How does we say it in your language, Shalja ji?
Yeah, so in Malayalam, I think you say Snehamunda. Sneham is the word for love.
Perfect. So we have sent the message of love to all parts of the world. Audience, I guess you must have received this message. So we had this discussion on spirituality and global peace. We had Veda Murthy ji, who mentioned that spirituality is the essence and religion is the different point of view, seeing the same essence. He said that, but the difference comes because of avidya, wrong identification. Limited mindset considers God also limited. Otherwise, once you see God and from the proper perspective, it is all pervading. Increasing your sphere of love. For that, you need to inquire, have an inquiring mind, connecting the dots, believe in law of karma, things happen for a cause, be good at communication, be receptive, adopt to the changes and grow. Don't go through life, grow through life. Shalja ji said that yes, spirituality is the essence and name and the forms are different perspectives, but the major problem is ahankara, which provides a limited mindset, and that limited mindset, the God is reduced to the matter rather than matter, or the idol should be elevated to the God. For that, it is more important to focus on life, better to live rather than what happens after death. Mind, body, and breath connection should be focused upon, and development is a continuum. Acceptance, start accepting the struggle itself, that every struggle is to improvise us, and start with asanas. She mentioned the Urdhva Dhanurva asana and many other asanas which makes use yourself with peace for self and you become non-reactive. Shaivism considers that individual soul is one with the universal soul, and philosophy and travel can also help. Reading Brahma Vakyas. Aishwarya Devi said that spirituality is the higher self. It is the throne of God. And man is by nature religious because man loves symbols. But then there is something which is beyond symbols, which connects all us together, is the silence, meditation, experiences. Soul is same, love is same. And at mental level, we can connect well with each other. She said spiritual, go beyond rituals is spiritual. And the solution is acceptance to all. Feel God within you. The moment you'll feel God within you, you'll start seeing God outside also. For that to begin with, having mumukshutva, inquisitiveness in nature, do sadhana, work in the laboratory of mind and do the experiment with this instrument called body, be vigilant, have self-discipline, find a guru and conclude after thorough analysis. Don't jump onto the conclusion fast. Nayavati ji, who joined us later, but she really made a mark. She said that ego is the biggest problem that creates fight. Know what you cannot change and know what you can change. And nobody can be changed from external force like an egg. Life begins when egg gets broken from inside, and life ends when egg is broken from outside. She said surrender. And from where to begin, she said to start with self. So I'm sure that our audience will also start with self. Thank you very much for being with us today, honorable guests, and looking forward to be associated in future again. Thank you very much. Namaste. I think
I'm feeling highly privileged to invite our next speaker, who is an inspiration for many people and elevating their lives. He is Sadhguru Amrita Suryananda Maharaj from Portugal. Guruji has started his studies and practices of the yoga philosophy in 1970 in the Shivananda Ashram of Rishikesh Divine Life Society, where he received Parampara from Shri Swami Krishnananda Ji Maharaj. He is a fervent and unconditional disciple of his inner spiritual master, whom he constantly serves and dedicates all his work to Adi Guru Lord Shiva. Guruji has been awarded Padma Shri Award in 2015. He is the president of European Yoga Confederation, the Iberian Yoga Confederation, founder of the Portuguese Yoga Confederation and the Yoga Sankhya Institute. He is also a member of Indian Yoga Association. Guruji is the creator of the concept of the International Day of Yoga on 21st June, celebrated for the first time in the world in 2002 in Portuguese city called Setúbal. In December 2011, he organized the Bangalore Summit in collaboration with Shri Shri Ravi Shankar, the Art of Living Foundation, which was attended by the Guru of India, Shri B.K. Iyengarji. Guruji has attended the General Assembly of the United Nations in 2014, where, by the proposal of India, the International Day of Yoga was declared official. He authored 2 books, Chakra Sutra, the 7 main chakras in yoga, in Portuguese and English language, and Sankhya, Cosmogenesis in Yoga Beyond Hydrogen. So please welcome Satguru Amrita Suryananda Maharaj.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shanti.
Special salutations to the illustrious organizer Shri Vikant Tumar, Professor Nagendra Ji, Dr. Ananda Balayogi, Dr. Subodh Tiwari, Master Sukadev Bretz, and to all yogi present.
Como estudioso do Samkhya Darshana, contido no Shastra, queria recordar aqui a sua alta explanação Advaita, o Purusha, não produzido e não produtor, o chamado Tattva Zero, Shunya, influencia o movimento de uma multicomplexa substância, a Mula Prakriti, que depois se transformará no instante da produção do Mahamon, o vibratório, criador e sustentador do cosmos, na Mahashakti, que é não produzida e não produtora.
O chamado Tattva número 1, a qual traz consigo o reflexo do Purusha, entre outros, os nossos Jivatma, as consciências individuais. Mahashakti, que, com o seu subtilíssimo e virgem Mahat, veio produzir por diferenciação todos os 24 Tattva enunciados no Samkhya Darshana, macroscopicamente estratificados em 7 kosha, planos ou dimensões, produzindo um universo tipo 7D, o nosso.
O processo Advaita do Samkhya Darshana, do 0 para o 1, e depois do 1 para o 2, e a seguir do 2 para o 3, etc., veio a ser claramente observável neste universo cardinal a todos os níveis, verificáveis como, por exemplo, e mais densamente na
tabela periódica dos elementos, do hidrogênio número 1 ao urânio número 92, e nos sistemas de cristalização, e nos seres unicelulares até aos multicelulares, etc., justificando plenamente a escolha da palavra Samkhya, número, para o nome do primeiro e antiquíssimo Darshana. As a scholar of Samkhya Darshana contained in the Shastra, I would like to recall here its highest Advaita explanation. The Purusha, non-produced and non-producer, the so-called Tattva Zero, Shunya, influences the movement of a multi-complex substance, the Mula Prakriti, which will then become, in the instant of the production of the Maha-Om, the vibrating creator and sustainer of this cosmos, into the Mahat Shakti, which is non-produced and producer, the so-called Tattva number 1, which brings with it the reflection of Purusha, among others, our Jiva-Atma, the individual consciousness, Mahashakti, that with its most subtle and virgin Mahat came to produce, by differentiation, all the 24 Tattva, enunciated in the Samkhya Darshana, macroscopically stratified in 7 kosha, planes or dimensions, producing a 7D kind of universe, ours. The Advaita process of Samkhya Darshana from 0 to 1, and after from 1 to 2, and then from 2 to 3, etc., came to be clearly observable in this cardinal universe, at all verifiable levels, as for example, and more densely, in the periodic table of the elements from hydrogen number 1 to uranium number 92, and in the crystallization systems, and in the unicellular to multicellular beings, etc., fully justifying the choice of the word Samkhya, number, for the name of the first and ancient darshana.
Como é sabido, o Samkhya inclui na sua estrutura cosmogénica também os subtis alicerces da antropogênese, dos criados produzidos, nós, e dá ao praticante, o futuro sadhaka, os meios para ele se iluminar, com a luz da origem, vindo a chamar este processo Yoga, cuja melhor definição, portanto, é Yoga e Samadhi.
Mais tarde, a robustez do yoga virá a torná-lo autónomo e a promovê-lo à classificação de Yoga Darshana, ficando para sempre ligado ao seu pai, Samkhya, ou seja, serão Sanatana Dve. Posteriormente, por exemplo, Vyasa realça esta ligação nos seus comentários ao Yoga Darshana, dito Sutra, de Maharishi Patanjali, o codificador do yoga, citando, no final de cada capítulo, tal é o ensinamento do yoga de Patanjali na exposição do Samkhya.
Então a prática do yoga tradicional de Bharata, a Índia, lança-nos numa subida de 7 graus, pelos respectivos 7 chakras, vórtice dos 7 koshas, e pelos 3 sharira, sendo o mais alto o Sahasrara Chakra, que é Advaita, o Advaita em nós, chakra do Samadhi, o qual também nos impele para as elevadas e pacíficas soluções Advaitas, as únicas com futuro para o ser humano.
E nós, há muito que tomamos como modelo o Samkhya Advaita. Na nossa prática do yoga e nos nossos 70 anos de vida, já lá vão mais de 52 anos de prática. Lembrando igualmente que sem ter linhagem e sem ter guru, o guia, um dos grandes pilares do yoga, não há sadhana, e por isso nunca haverá samadhi. As it is known, Samkhya includes in its cosmogenic structure also the subtle foundations of the anthropogenesis of the produced created, us, and gives the practitioner, the future sadhaka, the means to enlighten himself with the light of the origin, calling this process yoga, whose best definition is therefore, yoga is samadhi. Later, the robustness of yoga will make it autonomous and promote it to the classification of Yoga Darshana, remaining forever linked to its father Samkhya, that is to say, they will be Sanatana Dve. Posteriorly, for example, Vyasa emphasizes this connection in his commentaries to the Yoga Darshana, called Sutra, of the Maharishi Patanjali, the codifier of yoga, quoting, at the end of each chapter, such is the teaching of the yoga of Patanjali in the exposition of Samkhya. Thus, the practice of the traditional yoga of Bharata, India, launches us in a climb of 7 steps through the respective 7 chakra, vortexes of the 7 kosha, and through the 3 sharira. Being the highest step, the Sahasrara chakra, that is Advaita, the Advaita in us, the chakra of Samadhi, which also drives us to a vision of the high and peaceful Advaita solutions, the only ones with future for the human being. And we have long taken Samkhya Advaita as a model in our yoga practice, and in our 70 years of life have already passed more than 52 years of practice, remembering also that without lineage and without having a Guruji, the guide, one of the great pillars of yoga, there is no sadhana, and therefore there will never be samadhi.
Então, enfocando agora o vosso tema deste ano, diria Spirituality and Compassion by the Guidance of Mahaguru. Nesse sentido, por grande pressão interna de Sri Shiva, propusemos a todo o planeta a alta solução Advaita, tanto ao secretário-geral da ONU como a todos os grandes líderes mundiais. Lord Shiva sussurrou-me, só há um caminho de sucesso para o futuro. E ele está contido na máxima, um só planeta, uma só raça humana.
So now, invoking your theme for this year, I would say spirituality and compassion by the guidance of the Mahaguru. In this sense, by great internal pressure from Sri Shiva, we propose to the whole planet the Advaita High Solution, both to the UN Secretary General and to all great world leaders. Lord Shiva whispered to me that there is only one successful path to the future, and it is contained in the motto, One Planet, One Race, Human Race.
Assim, planeta uno, com as administrativas macroprovíncias continentais, foram mostradas, como reflete o mapa mundo aqui presente, onde, por exemplo, já está a Europa Unida e já se iniciou a União Africana, bem como outros esboços de outras macro-regiões do mundo. Só assim haverá uno e luminoso futuro.
Thus, a unified planet with the administrative macro-continental provinces was shown to me, as reflected in the world map that I present here, where, for example, there is already the United Europe, and the African Union has already started, as well as other drafts in other macro regions of the world. Only then will there be a unified and a bright future.
E para evitar a quebra anti-humana e tenebrosa do fundamental alicerce ahimsa, também por inspiração e imperioso comando do meu Mahaguru Lord Shiva Shankara,
and to avoid the anti-human and tenebrous breach of the fundamental Ahimsa foundation, and also by inspiration and imperious command of my Mahaguru Lord Shiva Shankara,
enviámos aos principais líderes mundiais a seguinte carta, no ano 2020, da qual vos darei agora a conhecer uma parte, sobre o território de Kaliningrad e a península da Crimeia, tentando nessa altura evitar os enormes sofrimentos que já se anteviam e que hoje todos sentimos.
We sent to the main world leaders the following letter in the year of 2020, of which I will now give you knowledge of a part, about the Kaliningrad territory and the peninsula of Crimea, trying at that time to avoid the enormous sufferings that were already foreseen and that we all feel today.
I shall in English.
To President of the Federation of Russia, His Excellency Mr. Vladimir Putin, Mr. President of Ukraine, Mr. President of Polska, Mr. Secretary General of the United Nations, Madam President of the European Commission, Mr. President of the USA, some top international leaders. Lisboa, 2020, July 9th. Proposal from Lisboa. Crimean Peninsula, Black Sea, Sea of Azov, / Kaliningrad Territory, Baltic Sea. The proposal is simple. 1A. The Federation of Russia will deliver the Kaliningrad Territory to Polska under the auspices of the United Nations, accompanied by the European Union. 1B. And the Russia Federation will receive international recognition for possession of the Crimean Peninsula, which, from the point of view of history, from Russia and beyond, belongs to Russia as it belonged to Russia until 1954. 1C, the remaining rebel territories in Ukraine, east of Donetsk, would be vacated by the combatants and returned in peace to Ukraine. 2, everything described in paragraphs 1A, 1B, 1C would be done on the same day and simultaneously under the auspices of the United Nations and accompanied by the European Union. 3, finally, the European Union would commit to give all possible support to Ukraine successively for the loss of this peninsular territory. For peace and stability in the world, Satguruji.
Como então ilustramos no seguinte mapa sobre este vital assunto, porque numa ação diplomática todas as partes devem equilibrar e sabiamente saber ceder.
As we have illustrated in the following map on this vital subject, because in a diplomatic action, all parties must know to compromise in a balanced and wise way.
Fizemos também anteriormente uma yatra preparatória a Kashmir, Srinagar, Leh e Indus Nadi, em 2017 de junho, para meditar e orar pela fundamental paz em Bharata e também em todo o globo terrestre.
Mas não está a ser suficiente, e os yogi não podem fingir que ignoram todo este terror e exponencial sofrimento. O planeta precisa da massa crítica de todos vós para que haja paz. Necessita toda a humanidade da luz do Samadhi, fruto não da teoria, mas da intensa prática diária do verdadeiro yoga de Bharata. We also previously made a preparatory yatra to Kashmir, Srinagar, Leh, and Indus Nadi in 2017 June to meditate and pray for fundamental peace in Bharata and also in the entire earthly globe. But it is not being enough, and the yogi cannot pretend to ignore all this terror and exponential suffering. The planet needs the critical mass of all of you, so there may be peace. All humanity needs the light of Samadhi, fruit not of theory, but of the intense daily practice of the true Yoga of Bharata.
Eu quero ainda reafirmar-vos também. A raça humana precisa de ser aceite na grande guilda das civilizações de Ganga Akasha, a Via Láctea, como um grande povo do futuro, uno, pacífico e fraterno, que honra a criação e o planeta paraíso e ama a sagrada vida. E precisamos, com a máxima urgência, de nos tornarmos um povo repleto de lúcida e inabalável gratidão cósmica, de nos tornarmos um Buddha People. Como veem, todos serão precisos e preciosos, sem exceção, para este ambicioso, mas incontornável objetivo.
And I would yet wish to hear reaffirmed to you also. The human race needs to be accepted into the great guild of the Ganga Akasha civilizations, the Milky Way, as a great people of the future, unified, peaceful, and fraternal, and who honors the creation and the planet paradise and loves the sacred life. And we need with utmost urgency to become a people filled with lucid and unshakable cosmic gratitude, to become a Puja people. As you see, everyone will be needed and precious, without exception, for this ambitious but inescapable goal.
Com toda a humildade, with all humility, Om Shanti.
Honorable Sadhguru Ji, Amrit Suryananda Ji Maharaj, Namaste.
Namaskar.
We always feel so inspired to see your world vision. And one thing that United Consciousness has always felt, that you, in today's speech, you also mentioned that yogi cannot pretend to avoid the problems of the planet. That is very inspiring, that it is not only that I, being a yogi, close my eyes to the problems of the planet. I need to do something for that. So my respect and gratitude towards you that you brought this point here on this global conference. And also the motto that you mentioned is one planet, one race, human race, is certainly very important. If you can notice, this event of United Consciousness Conclave 2022, Sadhguruji is being also supported by G20. This year, G20 presidentship is given to Government of India. And this year, Government of India has given the motto of G20 is one earth, one family, one future. And when I heard what you mentioned, so I felt that it is in the line of what your vision is. One planet, one race, human race. I'm also very much touched, even all the audience listening to you must be so much excited to know this, that you have got inspirations, as you always say, from Lord Shiva himself in the deepest orders of your meditation. That is very exciting and inspiring to know for yoga sadhaka's also, that how some people in their own capacity can connect to the divine and get inspiration. Your 52 years of practice of yoga is also very much inspiring for all of us. But still, the importance of guru that you give is also very much commendable. Swamiji, we are highly honored that you always give your time to us, and you are always there with United Consciousness. And I'm sure that United Consciousness, completely as a global organization, is working in line of your vision and your dream of creating one planet across the globe. One planet, one humanity, one race. Thank you very much, Sadhguruji, for blessing us always.
Om Shanti.
Very thankful to Sadhguru Amrita Suryananda Maharaji for sharing his views and giving us time to come onto the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much, Guru. Today we also have with us Francoise Barbara Friedman. She's a founder and director of Birthlight. She is PhD from Cambridge and she is still active in medical anthropologist at the University of Cambridge, where she holds an affiliated lectureship. While working as a senior yoga teacher and yoga therapist specialized in the area of reproductive health for women and their families, she initiated a prenatal yoga module for yoga therapy diploma course created by Dr. Robin Monroe at the Yoga Biomedical Trust, London in 1995, followed by postnatal yoga and well-woman yoga. She has pioneered a style of yoga accessible to all women, irrespective of their level of fitness and background, with a focus on prevention and integrated maternity care. Birthlight, a UK-registered charity, originated in experimental Cambridge-based classes with the aim to enhance well-being during the prenatal continuum from conception to year 3. For this purpose, she pioneered equinatal yoga, baby yoga, and a yoga-based approach to water parenting. Birthlight is an acclaimed international training provider with an extensive network of trainers, teachers, and members, including health professionals as well as yoga teachers and therapists. She has authored 10 books on yoga and contributes to Yoga General. She is a long-standing member of International MERS Society of Prenatal Mental Health and the Society of Psychomatic Obstetrics, Gynecology and Andrology, the Journal of the Pre- and Postnatal Psychology and Health Association, among others. Besides speaking at international conferences, she convened Birthlight conferences at Cambridge, London.
Barbara ji, we welcome you. You are audible and visible both. Waiting for your message.
Thank you, Vikranji, and I want to thank all my teachers in my journey of yoga and parenting. And in this talk, I would like to take you home. Our children, we say, are our most precious gifts. We long for them and we say we love them. We emphatically love them. Out of this love, we as parents want them to be well and to do well. From the moment we place a photo of one of those prenatal scans in our wallets, parenting takes center stage in our lives. So we want to be good parents and spare our offspring the suffering that our parents inflicted on us inevitably. They made mistakes, that's for sure, our parents and our grandparents, and perhaps we still have not fully forgiven them yet, and we lay blame at their door for their shortcomings. In this short talk about conscious parenting, I would like to remind you that the quality of our love for our children rests on self-referral, and that this has intergenerational implications that extend way back in the past and way forward into the future. We have less children than last century, and we have them later in life. Due to both male and female infertility decline worldwide, the journey of conception and birth is more hazardous than it used to be even a few decades ago. As part of the evolution of consciousness on our planet, the focus of parenting and particularly fathering has also shifted from discipline and rules to creating real connections with our children and, most importantly, raising our consciousness as parents. The shift to non-violence, ahimsa, is not without turmoil, and sadly, many children in the world grow unloved and experience unspeakable traumas. But the trend to greater awareness of children as sovereign beings that we as parents are given the privilege to care for and bring up in partnership is unquestionable. United consciousness truly starts at home. ideally when a soul draws near in the mysterious process of incarnation. There is increasing research evidence that what we call consciousness is there long before fetal brains are fully formed, and imprints can be memorized as we currently understand it. Months before birth, prenates thrive with their mother's benevolent thoughts, as Sue Gerhardt explains in her popular science bestseller, Why Love Matters. Anxiety and depression, the mental ills that now affect 1 in 5 pregnant women and new mothers, and also fathers, have simultaneously been shown to have detrimental long-term consequences for children. In an ideal world, all pregnant women and fathers-to-be too would be kept free of stress to concentrate on the important task of nurturing this new soul. While strolling in fairy tale rose gardens is rarely possible, a few minutes of meditation each day can create an equally beautiful inner space. One of the thought bubbles that often surfaces during pregnancy is self-doubt, and the emotion hiding behind it is fear. That it will not work out, that there is not enough of this or not enough of that. An instant practical response from yoga is the voice breathing Hamsa to re-establish balance and perspective. And only 1 minute is enough to make a change at a time, and the effect is cumulative. The more often this is done, the more extensive the outcome. So let's practice this in not even 1 minute. Hamsa. And then you can also practice the shush breath to send away any negative thinking. So shh, and then hamsa, hamsa, in acceptance. At the same time, Ganesha Mudra can bring us the strength and resolve as the elephant Ganesha shows us it has. Just this simple practice can make a great difference in bringing us to ourselves and raise our consciousness. Self-judgment, which may go back to childhood memories, vanishes in the strong present focus of this simple yoga. Childbirth, whatever form it takes, is one of the greatest calls in life for new parents to grow and expand their consciousness. Frantically seeking information about babies on the internet and in books is rarely satisfying. While every stage of parenthood brings its unique spiritual and emotional challenge, babies in their early weeks and months are our parents' best teachers. Can we both lucidly and humbly shift the problem from the baby to ourselves, parents? Not you rather than me, not you the father or you the mother rather than me, with the new awareness that a crying baby has innocent needs that we must learn to better decipher. Where do the frustration or even the rage that drives the most rational of parents to their wits' ends come from? The answer may come later, when learned calmness becomes like a mirror that reflects deep and regulated emotions in our inner childhood. But in the present moment, yoga can offer self-calm, followed by instant relaxation. Here is a tiny practice that can help get rid of tension and move right from a sympathetic mode, nervous system mode of flight and fright, to an autonomic response of restoring, refreshing self-calm. So I will share this practice with you because yoga is practice. So what we do is 10 breaths of Bhastrika followed by a long exhalation. So let's go. And the little kumbhaka at the end of the exhalation brings release and brings a new breath taken without strain. When we react emotionally, we hold our breath. The breath, as the bridge to our consciousness, responds to practice. And doing this several times a day is cumulative. We can, after doing it, placing one hand or both on our heart to mark a new readiness now after a pause and reset. So we can think of reset buttons of parenting with yoga. As adult parents, by creating the emotional self-regulation that our parents may have failed to give us because for some reason they could not do so, and we can't blame them for that, we heal our inner infant selves. And we walk our talk when we say we love our children. Mindfulness paves the way, but ultimately parenting is a spiritual discipline, a sadhana. Just as we roll out our yoga mat every day, our children call us to undo our prejudice, our expectations, and the ego we project on them on a day-to-day basis. Their illnesses call for deeper, more unconditional love. Their problems may in fact very well be ours. Self-referral, growing in self-awareness, helps us raise our consciousness as parents to best help our children to be what they have come to the world, into the world to be. There is no perfection. As we let go of the need to control, we can engage our presence just that little bit better. The sooner we start, the better. Babies' sweet little tantrums are easier to face than teenage crises. Eckhart Tolle has said, becoming a conscious parent is the greatest gift you can give our child. And also the prophet Hilbrand told us that our children are not ours. They are not our possessions. This is easier said than done. True to yoga, we even have to let go of the attachment to become a conscious parent in order to turn into one. The principles of yoga and those of conscious parenting are one and the same. The expression Brahman Bhavati Sarati, a Vedic saying that suggests that God, or one's higher self, is the charioteer of our life, finds an echo in all world religions. Yet, as First Nations people in the world remind us, we come from nature and we are deeply connected to its rhythms, its silence and simplicity. The bliss of parenting rooted in each of our small daily actions of self-surrender, when we find the eye of the storm rather than becoming the storm. It's definitely harder than caning and shouting, but evolution is irresistibly unfolding towards parenting consciousness. Let's cease to try pushing the river and thank our children for letting us, leading us into the flow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis G. It touched my heart when you said that united consciousness starts at home. And what can be the better way to start the feeling of united consciousness from the next generation? And you mentioned about that. You mentioned a couple of books also to read about why love matters. And one fact that you mentioned really is a matter of concern for whole world, that 1/5 of the world expecting mothers are feeling anxiety and depression. And if we want to create a better world, we need to start from the beginning. And you said that when this anxiety and depression is there in the would-be mothers, it converts that fear becomes self-doubt and feeling of I'm not good enough, things are not enough, things may not work out. And you also taught us some practical tips. You mentioned about Hamsa, Sush breath, Ganesh Mudra, and you also mentioned about the Bastrika Pranayama, how to keep yourself calm. And you also gave a message that make your babies your teachers. They really teach you many things indeed. And you also quoted that our children are not our possessions. So we may be connected with them, but at the same time remain detached as they have their own journey of their life. So I have a small question that I received recently. If you permit me, can I ask you?
Yes, sure.
So this Hamsa, this method, what you suggested is, so what does that Hamsa literally means? Or from where has it come?
Well, it's a bit like Purnamida, Purnamidam in a simpler way. It means I take the breath, the world is full of bliss. I surrender the breath, the world is full of bliss. This is how I understand it. I don't necessarily explain to people the meaning, but as they do it, they discover it.
I know, I understand. One more question that came here is, listening to you, it feels that we should have heard you 10 years back when we conceived. But now it is 10 years later we are listening to you. So what do you suggest? My kid is 9 years old.
Listen, watch, self-refer. I have a 7-year-old granddaughter, and I am also retraining myself as a grandmother. I missed a few boats as a parent, probably lots of boats. And I'm catching them again as a grandmother, plus with the added challenge of surrendering to my daughter's mode of parenting. So there is a double challenge and a double surrender here and a double learning, which I gratefully receive as a grandmother. I think grandparents have a great role to play in the world, and their consciousness is even more important as expanding because they impact 2 generations.
So nicely said. And I hope that all the grandparents who are listening hear this talk, they must be feeling more motivated, that they have a lot of contribution to make this world more beautiful. Thank you very much, Francois Ji, for always blessing us with your presence and your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vikrant.
On behalf of United Consciousness,
You're saying something.
No, I said thank you, and may United Consciousness grow as well.
Thank you for your blessings. We'll try our level best. Thank you.
on behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Ms. Francois Barbara Friedman for coming on to the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्।
This shloka means, may everyone be happy, May everyone be free from all diseases. May everyone see goodness and auspiciousness in everything. May none be unhappy or distressed. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. I am highly privileged to have this opportunity to present my gratitude to all those who have witnessed and blessed this event directly or indirectly. I believe that this is not the end, but the beginning of our journeys.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्।
This shloka means, may everyone be happy. May everyone be free from all diseases. May everyone see goodness and auspiciousness in everything. May none be unhappy or distressed. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. I am highly privileged to have this opportunity to present my gratitude to all those who have witnessed and blessed this event directly or indirectly. I believe that this is not the end, but the beginning of our journeys. The journeys towards the noble cause of removing the 14 divides rooted in human race and promoting harmonious and peaceful coexistence. Firstly, I thank the God for blessing us all. I thank European Yoga Federation, thank the Spiritual Council in Africa. I am also very thankful for Yoga Vidya, Germany, Yoga Lam, Russia, Siddhashram, Turkey, Nidra Consciousness, France, Yoga Yogismo, South America, AAYT, Australia, World Movement for Yoga and Ayurveda, Italy, CUIDY, Italy, the World Community of Indian Culture and Traditional Disciplines, Italy. I owe my heartfelt thanks to our guest, Shri Dinesh K. Patnaik, Yogi Andre Reel, Swami Turya, Ms. Caroline Van Demeu, Mr. Sukhdev Volker Bridges, Swami Amrita Surya Nanda, Francisco Barbera. I am very thankful to our esteemed panelists, Ms. Navati, Dr. Veda Murthy Ola, Ms. Shelja Menon, Ms. Aishwarya Devi. I am very thankful to our cultural performers. I owe my heartfelt thanks to Team Project Self USA, Shri Rajesh Rabindranath, Ms. Pavitra Srinivasan, Ms. Madhurika Arvind, Ms. Rashmi Kashi, Dr. Prasad Akavu, Dr. Vijay Reddy, Ms. Gina Suresh, Mr. Karthik Palamalai, Mr. K.L. Alexander, Mr. Venkat Sriram Lalu, Ms. Deepthi Nair, Ms. Avneet Bad, Mr. Suresh, Mr. Devaraju, Ms. Deepa Arun. I thank Team Project Self Bharat, Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar, Dr. Shweta Tomar, Aditi Meghna Mausan Prachi, Mr. J.S. Juneja, Dr. Paramji Juneja, Rishi Vishalji Arnav, Aditya Ashwin, Rati Dharmendraji Uday, Poojaji Bhartiji, Diptiji, Amrishji, Mrinalniji, Khushbuji, Jimmyji, Mr. Sanjay Rajput, Ms. Simran Reel. I am also very grateful for our new members in the team of United Consciousness, Ms. Aishwarya, Ms. Priyanka and Mr. Prakash Tyagi. I am very much thankful to our wonderful audience and all the visible and invisible sources blessing us.